does this mean now? It's impacting airports, airlines, banks as well, news channels as well, corporate offices. What we can tell you that it has not affected the Bombay Stock Exchange. So that is some good news, though we do know that it has affected the London Stock Exchange. That is what we've heard, that it's affected in the US and UK. Major banks, media, airlines, 911 services have been disrupted in the US because of this. London Stock Exchange also facing disruptions, and Sky News is off air. So this just gives you a sense of the kind of challenges that are being faced worldwide. We have Vishal with us, who will just tell us the latest coming in from Microsoft, when we can expect some resolution of what they're saying. But first, let's go across to NDTV's Ishika, who joins us from the airport, because that is the most immediate example of how people are being impacted by this, as many airlines have put out messages saying that their services are affected. People have arrived at airports and aren't being able to even print out their boarding passes. Over to you, Ishika. What's the situation there? All right, we will just go across to Ishika, but back to Vishal. Vishal, so what are we hearing from Microsoft?
So Microsoft has been coming out with a similar statement in the last 2-3 hours. We have to tell our viewers that it's been about 6-7 hours since this global outage started. It was first reported in Australia. It has spread to now almost everywhere across the globe. So the latest update from Microsoft says that multiple services are continuing to see improvements in availability as our mitigation action progresses. So the similar words have been used by Microsoft in the last 2-3 hours. They are yet to, pinpoint as to what exactly caused the issue. They have been saying that initial part of the, investigation says that this is related to an update. And some reports suggest that CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity company based in the US, could be, one of the reasons, one of the updates related to this company could be one of the reasons for this huge outage. So as we speak, people across the globe have been affected. Thousands, probably millions of people have been affected. Whoever I've spoken to, whoever I've called, they all have been affected. In this office where I stand, at least 10 to 12 systems crashed about an hour ago, and they have not been able to restart.
All right, Vishal, just stay on. We have a caller, Venkat Rama Reddy, calling in from Hyderabad. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Venkat Rama Reddy. Morning, almost 10 o'clock onwards, I'm facing this issue, Microsoft issue. Because of this, most of the people, my team members, it's facing this issue. Yeah.
Yes, so you're telling us since 10 in the morning you've been facing this issue, and what's the situation right now?
Right now, not able to connect anything. Even I'm getting
Are you at office?
No, I actually work from home, yeah.
Okay, and so you're not being able to connect to anything. What are your concerns at the moment? Are you just checking what Microsoft is saying? What we do know is that this is to do with an update in the CrowdStrike, which is the cybersecurity, provider.
Yes, correct.
All right, so since 10 in the morning, as Venkat Rama is telling us, he's not been able to work. He works from home and his system is out. And Vishal, that is, what we've been seeing. Many people calling in, telling us. We also have another caller, Nikhil, calling in from Mumbai. Nikhil, go ahead. All right, we will try and connect with those callers, but lots of calls coming in since the morning, sharing their experiences, sharing their concerns. One person working in an IT firm said they are concerned whether any of their data has been compromised due to this outage, due to this glitch in the system. Let's go back to Vishal for more. And so Vishal, just explain to our viewers what has caused this. We're calling it the Microsoft outage, but it has been caused due to an update in CrowdStrike. And what's very concerning is, and what we've understood from speaking to tech experts, is that before putting in this update, CrowdStrike would have gone through several rounds of checking, but still they put this update out there and it's compromised everyone's systems.
Well, Gagi, the details of this is yet to be revealed by Microsoft. They have only put out the initial part of the investigation, which suggests that CrowdStrike, which is a US-based cybersecurity company, could be one of the reasons. An update related to this company could be one of the reasons this global outage has happened. So as far as the latest is concerned, the CrowdStrike shares have fallen as much as 14%. in the wake of these global outages. So, which is a huge amount. 14% percentage fall in just one day, within few hours, is a huge amount. So, the company is already facing backlash on the stock exchanges. Whether or not there will be some legal repercussions, because the US, especially the Federal Trade Commission in the US, which is a very, it has a really clamped down kind of an approach towards tech companies. What kind of action that FTC takes, that also remains to be seen. Whether or not CrowdStrike is to be blamed for this, that is also one of the questions.
Right, that is something, that is being reported as it's suggested that the CrowdStrike update is causing this entire issue. Again, more clarity, though Microsoft too has mentioned this update, and so we need more clarity from them as to what led to this massive outage. But as we said, a lot of people at airports especially facing huge challenges. NDTV's Anuj sent us this report from Mumbai.
So I missed my flight and I was trying to book via third-party apps. So I have all the apps which are used to book the flights, and it took me like 2 hours and I was not able to book the ticket. And once in one of the app, when I was able to book the ticket, then automatically I got a message like your flight booking has been cancelled, and my bank also refunded me all the amount. So now again I came back to the Air India counter where I do it like manually without any third-party apps. So this is the issue.
How many platforms did you try for booking the flight?
So I tried 7 platforms, including Make My Trip, iXigo, Flipkart, Amazon. I tried every app which is on my mobile phone.
Okay. Did someone from other locations also try to book flights for you?
Yeah, so even my relatives also, they were trying to book. So they stay in Patna, so even they were trying to book the tickets, and even they were not able to book it.
Has this happened before? Are you a frequent traveler?
Yep. So yeah, I travel like twice or thrice in a month, and this never happened before, and this is the first time I see this kind of a glitch.
All right, so that is some of the challenges being faced by passengers who were flying out today. And in fact, in some places, and as cybersecurity and experts have said that there's a need for people to switch to manual as soon as possible. There you can see Indigo is now their ground staff issuing these handwritten boarding passes, and that is the need of the hour. This quick thinking and quick switching really to manual till the systems can come up again. So this is from Hyderabad Airport, we're told, and Indigo, they're the ground staff, the desk there. Issuing handwritten boarding passes to passengers so that at least they can get their passengers on board. And Vishal, so this is like the big crisis that we're seeing right now, and even as we continue to wait for more updates from Microsoft as to what exactly caused this. There are several reports saying it's this the CrowdStrike's a security provider and a glitch in their system has led to this. An update. We've had callers calling in from IT firms talking about ways to work around this, how you have to go into your systems and remove and go to the CrowdStrike directory and then locate a certain file and delete it, and then you can reboot your system. So all kinds of people just figuring out how to work around this crisis that is being faced by banks, by airlines, by news organizations worldwide.
That is true. So I've just made a list of the the series of events that happened in the 5-6 hours. So the disruption started on Thursday night US time. Frontier Airlines had to ground flights for 2 hours, and then the company Microsoft declared that Azure and Microsoft 365 have resolved the problem actually. So the problem had been resolved for US locally, but then it spread to other parts of the world, such as Australia, where banks were affected, and now it has spread to London Stock Exchange, and it's now impacting from India and Singapore to Poland and the US now. So it's covered across the world now, and as I mentioned earlier, 14% of the shares have plunged of the cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike, which is sort of involved in this global outage, in the sense that an upgrade to that system led to this global outage, which has affected millions of systems across the world, probably billions of people across the world, because Microsoft, as all of us know, is prevalent, it's used all over the world. So almost each office in the world would have been affected. Anywhere I have spoken to, people have been affected.
That's right. Thanks so much, Vishal. And we'll continue to track this story. As we said, people are, across the world facing huge challenges, and banks, hospitals, as well as, corporates and airlines, and people turning manual. As we just showed you there, a boarding pass written out by hand, and that is one of the ways that airlines are currently dealing with this crisis. With that, we'll slip into a short break. More coming up on the other side. Do remember the union budget will be presented in Parliament next week, and everyone from the middle class, corporate, salaried will be watching to see what's in the budget for them. Provisions in the budget could also improve support accessibility and overall quality of life for those with disabilities. So do listen in to disability rights advocates talking about their expectations from this year's budget.
My expectation from the union budget is quite some. At this point of time, the expenditure that happens on disability sector is less than 0.3% of the total GDP. I want that total expenditure to grow to at least 0.6 to 0.7% of the GDP, so that more people with disabilities are getting impacted. And also the economic empowerment is something else that I am looking forward to for people with disabilities, because unless we put economic empowerment as a priority after the trainings that we provide the person with disabilities, the economy will not flourish.
Hello, Moto.
मोटोरोला। लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पर डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है। पैसाबाजार.com।
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene."
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Welcome back. The big story, we're tracking the global outage as millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing the blue screen of death error causing system shutdown. This is affecting banks, it's affecting airlines, and causing chaos at hospitals as well. Let's go across to Pratibha now, who joins us from Bengaluru. And Pratibha, what's the situation over there right now? We did see in Hyderabad some of the airlines have started issuing, handwritten boarding passes, but a huge inconvenience, huge challenge for so many passengers.
In fact, as far as the arrival terminal is concerned, most of them have been suggesting that, yes, the flights have been delayed by a minimum of 10 minutes and maximum of 30 minutes. But as far as departure terminal is concerned, there have been long queues there with most passengers who have been waiting there for quite some time. And several of the airport authorities have been telling us that manual check-ins are being done, and that has been causing the delay because of the system shutdown. Exactly the number of flights aren't really known, but then most of the flights that are often operational here with respect to the domestic flights like Air India Express as well as Indigo flights, most of the flights belonging to these airlines have been delayed, and that has been causing a lot of inconveniences to the passengers. But most of them haven't really complained as such with respect to the delays as yet, because a lot of facilities are being given to them, most of them sitting down at the restaurants. Unfortunately, the media is not allowed there, so we are here right outside at the bus stop as well as the cab stop, where passengers have been walking in to get to their respective destinations. Let me see if I can have a word or two from them. Sir, excuse me, may I have a word with you? Was your flight delayed by any chance?
No, it was on time.
Right.
I came from Totika,
right.
So it was on time only.
Right. Yeah. Was there any kind of inconvenience that you saw there with respect to the flight disruptions in the other airport?
Nothing. I'm good.
So as far as the arrival terminal is concerned, well, not really much of a problem there, but in terms of the departure terminal is where the Bengaluru airport especially has been facing quite a lot of inconvenience with respect to the system outage there. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Pratibha, for getting us the latest there from Bengaluru, and we'll continue to track this story. As we've been telling you, it's a global story, really, with so many with outages being faced across the world, and from flights to supermarkets to banks to hospitals being affected by this global Microsoft outage. We'll slip into a short break. We'll continue to update you with all the very latest.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small-scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small-scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise. Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing the blue screen of death error, which is forcing the systems to suddenly shut down or restart. In fact, Microsoft in a message has said that the error is being caused due to a recent CrowdStrike update. We are tracking that story for you. Global Microsoft outage affects multiple systems across nations. Chaos at airports, banks and hospitals. Multiple newsrooms have been affected by this. New criminal laws. Madras High Court sends a notice to Centre. High Court notice to Centre over new criminal laws that got implemented on the 1st of July. Notice is on petition by DMK leader. The petition has challenged the constitutionality of the laws. Politics heats up in poll-bound states such as Maharashtra and Haryana. Congress in Maharashtra to hold meetings and focus on cross-voters, while in Haryana they have launched a new campaign. Meanwhile, Bhupendra Yadav and Ashwini Vaishnav, the in-charges of the BJP in Maharashtra, are holding BJP meetings. Bangladeshi students set fire to the country's state broadcaster a day after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina appeared on the network seeking to calm escalating clashes of violence that have killed at least 32 people. Protesters want government hiring policy reform. There is global outage by Microsoft systems getting a bug. In fact, CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity firm that services numerous industries, was down across parts of the world. This has created a chaos of sorts with several banking systems in hospitals, and also airlines being affected. Several flights have been grounded, and this has been happening since morning today for about 2-3 hours now. At least 3 major US airlines have grounded all flights. The same has also happened in India, with several important airlines putting out messages that the check-in processes are taking place on a manual basis, and passengers have to wait for long to get in their boarding passes. In fact, this is happening because of a cloud computing error, a bug that has crept into the Microsoft systems. Microsoft mitigation action progress is also happening. In fact, Microsoft has said that they are observing a positive trend in service availability, and in fact, Microsoft has also said that it is witnessing continuous improvements when it comes to mitigation actions, and multiple services are continuing to see improvements in the availability of mitigation services. But clearly, passengers across airports in the country are facing problems. Banks and hospitals systems are also down, leading to crucial systems, essential services being down throughout the day. I have my colleague Ishika joining me tonight. Ishika, tell us what really is happening on the ground there. There are visuals of passengers who seem quite distressed because these are long queues. Airlines have resorted to manual check-ins now. This is what several airlines, including Indigo, have put out. Tell us what are the passengers saying with respect to their experiences?
Well, exactly, we are present here at the T3 terminal here, and let me show you that because of, the servers not, being down of the Microsoft, and because of this global Microsoft outage, all the systems, in fact, have been impacted here. We'll go here to the fellow passengers here, sir. हम जानना चाहेंगे कि ये जो सिस्टम है जहाँ से आप बोर्डिंग पास निकालते हैं, क्या वो काम कर रहा है?
ना, अभी काम नहीं कर रहा है, बस लास्ट तक जा रहा है, सबमिट कर रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे एरर का मैसेज दे रहा है।
एरर का मैसेज दे रहा है।
एयरलाइंस की तरफ से अभी कोई हमें इंटीमेशन नहीं गया है।
कोई भी कम्युनिकेशन नहीं हुआ। Did they tell you to come 2 hours early? Anything like that?
No, not yet. Any updation not provided by the airlines yet.
So, sir, because of the no problem of yours and certainly no fault of yours, the passengers like you are getting impacted here. Was there anyone here from the airline staff who came to help you regarding that?
No one came for help us, and also we didn't get any kind of message regarding this kind of issues is going on, and might be there is a delay in a flight, so that is not a good thing from airlines.
So, sir, what is the next step for you? Are you trying for any other?
We're just trying to go inside.
And then do it manually?
Yeah, manually. We have to do all the things manually, and we have to first check what kind of things are going on, and flight is on time or it is delay.
So even, sir, the display boards have gone black. I think that is also affecting you. And as you said, you have to get it manually. So a lot of chaos that you are experiencing here?
Yes, exactly. We are getting trouble for getting the actual information of what kind of airline delay, how many hours got the delay due to this error, and what is going on. So we have to get inside and we have to check the what exactly status about the airline and what the things will be done.
So as a passenger, sir, who has been impacted because of this, what do you want to say to the airlines and the airport authority?
Simple, clear communication has to be given to the passengers.
Same clear communication has to be done by the airlines.
So as you heard, the passengers here have been impacted here. You can see, in fact, there also, the machines are not, in fact, they are also impacted, so they are not operating. Here, we are showing you the space where you can get your boarding pass printed, but certainly the people here, the passengers here, they are facing a lot of problems, and we are showing you it on our screens as well as to how the server is impacted because of that, the global Microsoft outage. And here, we are showing you that please try again messages flashing on these systems where you get your boarding pass printed. Now, not just these systems, but even the display boards here, they have been impacted as well. In fact, there are several display boards here, which we have shown you earlier as well. They have also gone blank. Because of that, the people here, the passengers here, are not able to even check whether their flight has been delayed or not. So certainly kind of a chaos that we are here, seeing here at the airport, at the Terminal 3 where we are present. And the passengers here say that there was no clear communication from the airline side. And certainly they also say that, there was no help also that was given to them when they reached the airport. No one, from the staff side came to help them out. So that also needs to be sorted, is what the passengers here, the impacted passengers here, have to say. Over to you.
Right, Ishika, what we hear is that the government is also taking cognizance of this issue, clearly because essential services are collapsing, and that the IT ministry is also likely to issue an advisory soon. Remember that millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing the blue screen of death error, which is causing the system to suddenly shut down or restart. In fact, Microsoft in a message has said that this error is being caused due to a recent CrowdStrike update. CrowdStrike is basically a third-party application that looks at security features. CrowdStrike provides advanced cybersecurity solutions to Windows PCs, and that is an update is the reason why this outage has happened. According to reports, the bug has affected several companies, banks and government offices across US and Australia and also India. Microsoft has said that this started around 6 p.m. on Thursday with a subset of its customers experiencing issues with multiple services. But of course, what has happened now is several airlines have said that there is a sense that some of the flights will be grounded and the check-in processes could also go manual. I have NS Napinai, who is an expert, a cybersecurity expert, also founder of Cyber Sati Foundation, joining us. Ma'am, tell us what really happened, with respect to, this cyber, it's clearly not a cybersecurity bug, right? This is something to do with, an update. And of course, was it something that has happened in the past? And why do you think this has affected so many essential services at once?
We don't have the full details right now, so I can't go into the technical aspects. And as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I also don't risk moving into uncharted territory. But to just give you a little bit of a background on what exactly is happening, it is indeed a cybersecurity issue, because it's not always about a breach or a violation that you would, deem it to be cybersecurity. Any aspect which impacts critical infrastructure or critical services will also then fall within the category of cybersecurity. So here is a situation which reminds us that our increasing reliance on technology as a primary source may still be a little premature, and we are going to keep having hybrid processes where the fallback becomes a physical version. And that's not really good news when we're talking about technological advancements. So what does law have to really offer on this? Now, when you have a situation like this, the first and foremost is that a report is submitted of the problem and to certain, that's our emergency response team from the central government, and they also then come in to help in terms of ensuring that critical services are not delayed much. So if this issue happened, generally because of an update, the consequences of an update must be well within the knowledge of the organization that is responsible. And a resilience mode or a fallback or a quick bounce back plan is expected to be kept in place. So it cannot be really brushed aside in a casual manner to say it was merely an update, etc. Because what you're seeing is serious freezing of a critical service, and we are seeing the consequences of it right as we speak on our screens. So what we really need to look at is that, one, we need systems and processes in place which will ensure that victims are immediately intimated. It's not just about the airlines or just about the service provider. It has to be a cohesive whole which will work together in a process-driven manner, and with the process being given to us by a regulator.
Okay, resilience is the key word here. Thank you, Ms. Napane, for joining us. Dr. Amit Sarwal, editor of the Australia Today, also joins us. Sir, tell us what is happening with respect to Australia, because I did see that it is one of the countries that has been affected the maximum. A lot of reports have come in from Australia, especially from cities like Melbourne. When did you know that there was a bug and the kind of scale of impact that it has had?
So around 3 p.m., the reports started coming in that there is some kind of outage at select systems in banks, retails, airports. Some of the hospitals were affected as well, but it was not widespread at that point of time. But so initially people here thought that it's one, again, a cyber attack that we used to have. We had one last year as well, late last year. But as the news started coming in from globally, particularly from US, the UK, and European countries, the government is at around half an hour ago, just at 6 o'clock Australian time, they have had a meeting where they have said this is not a cyber attack. This issue is related to, as everyone knows that it's related to Microsoft and CrowdStrike, one of the service providers, and therefore it's not widespread. But yes, we have very similar scenes as you are just showing it to your audiences at Sydney Airport, Melbourne Airport. Melbourne Airport has just tweeted that they have appointed special pink vest or pink shirt volunteers to help maintain and manage the crowd and assist them, particularly the flights that are coming in, because the immigration checkouts have the blue screen of death. And most of the systems here in Australia have been automated, and that's one of the major problems. So one of the issues that, when I was out, I looked at certain people have to leave their shopping trolleys because they couldn't pay using their mobile phones, the pay ID. And therefore they couldn't shop. And this is weekend. So most people prefer to shop at weekend, Friday night, and then, Saturday and Sundays are free. And you could actually see them feel helpless when they have to leave, shopping, the trolley full of goods. Most people do not carry cash here. So that's one of the things that's becoming really a nuisance at the moment. And I think the government is talking to Microsoft, but yes, people do not know how long will it take to fix this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Sarwal, for speaking to NDTV. We also spoke to government sources, and they're saying that the IT ministry could be issuing an advisory soon, and that the government is cognizant of this issue that's taking place. In fact, Métis sources are looking at it, but they've made it very clear that this is an issue that doesn't concern India. But of course, since essential services are breaking down, the ministry is looking into it seriously. I have my colleague Mohammad Ghazali also joining us from Delhi. Ghazali, since morning today, we did see a lot of systems collapse across banks, airports, and also media organizations. Our own newsroom, had so many systems that sort of collapsed. Tell us, what is the sentiment on ground and what kind of problems are people facing?
See, I visited around half a dozen banks, ATMs and hospitals in this particular area in GK and nearby areas. Most of the places the operations are going smooth and they have not been impacted by this outage. But frankly, some of the systems are impacted in some companies, but it's not a widespread impact because you could see the impact is largely on the airlines companies or the computers, the Windows systems and laptops which have Windows installed on it, and they're largely in the airline companies or at the airport. So the visuals coming around of the impact of this outage has been on the airlines, on the airport operations, but in banks, in ATMs, in hospitals, as well as in schools where you have widespread use of computers and laptops, there has not been any outage or the impact of outage as being reported in other sectors.
Thank you, Ghazali, for joining us with those details. We have a caller, Jyoti from Bangalore. Jyoti, tell us, what are the problems that you face? Please go on.
And I'm already booked my tickets. But my daughter, who is traveling from San Francisco to Japan, is going back home, and she's stuck in Japan, Tokyo airport, because there's an outage there. So I thought I'll just keep you posted on that.
Thank you, Jyoti, for calling us. Millions of Windows users across the globe are experiencing the blue screen of death error, which is causing systems to suddenly shut down or restart. This is a global outage, and several citizens across the country are facing this. Shubham from Pune also joins us now. Shubham, tell us, what are the problems that you face today with this technical bug?
Yeah, when we logged in today morning, everything was working fine. And then at around 10:20 a.m. or 10:30, system got self-rebooted, and then we able to see the blue screen populated on the screen. And since then, we are stuck with the Windows, and we are not able to do anything with it because of this glitch.
Right. And how are you coping with this? What are other workers saying? Is there a turnaround that you guys sort of figured out, or are you just waiting for the systems to sort of sort this bug out?
There is a turnaround which we have got, but it's of no use because it needs a recovery key, which is again stuck, and that particular system is also down to fetch the recovery key for like our system, at least for us. So we at least for now we have to wait for the update from their end only.
Have you faced something like this in the past? Can you tell us, or is this the first time that something like this has happened? And what kind of impact does this have on your work and also on your company's productivity? It's a Friday today, I know, but still, how are your colleagues dealing with this?
Yeah, this is for the first time. It was happened with AWS, but it was not relating to this kind of thing because it was relating to cloud earlier, 2-3 years back, where AWS for some zones, AWS was shut. But this is kind of big issue, we can say, because airports, hospitals, many places where Microsoft is majorly used and systems are down at that places.
Thank you so much for calling and speaking to NDTV. Let me also go across to my colleague Vishal, who sort of has been tracking this. In fact, he was the first to point this out to us. Microsoft, Vishal, in a message has said that this error has been caused due to a recent CrowdStrike update. We are all used to so many updates on our phones. Tell us, what do you think really caused this, and how serious is this? Because clearly this has been going on for 4 hours now across nations. There are banking services, airports, and also news services that have been sort of in some way affected. Tell us the scale of this and also what could be the possible reasons.
So as far as the cause of this global outage is concerned, we are yet to pinpoint on the exact cause. However, the initial investigation by Microsoft has said that the security upgrade could be one of the reasons, and some reports suggest that this cyber security company called CrowdStrike could be one of the reasons. An update to that. So it's all happening right now as we speak. So across the globe, almost all the sectors, from hospital to travel to airline, millions of people across the globe have been facing issues as we speak, and it's been about 7-8 hours now. It was first spotted Thursday night US time in the US, and then Microsoft reported that they had solved the problem locally, but then it spread to other parts of the world like Poland, Japan, and then Australia. Australian government is holding an emergency meeting as we speak, and they could also declare a national emergency. However, they have said that critical infrastructure is yet to be affected. There are also reports coming in that some, football games in Australia have been affected. So it hasn't left any sector of the society, this global outage. One caller earlier had said that he was not able to get admitted to a hospital because of an outage, because of this outage. And this blue screen is splashed across probably millions of screens across the globe, and Microsoft is yet to solve the problem. And on the other hand, CrowdStrike has come up with a statement, and reports suggest that they have said that this is not really their fault, but we have yet to confirm this. On the other hand, countries such as Australia, as I mentioned earlier, they have been meeting, and as you've been speaking, that Indian IT Ministry will also soon release a statement. They have taken cognizance of this serious matter as it affects thousands, probably millions in India itself.
Absolutely, Vishal. CERTIN has also issued an advisory. This is the body that comes under the center, the department, the Ministry of Information Technology, MeitY, that looks at security of the country, security of systems in the country, and it basically says that it has been reported that Windows hosts related to CrowdStrike agent are facing outages and getting crashed. In fact, it talks about this, and it also suggests some workaround, saying that if hosts are still crashing and unable to stay online to receive the channel file changes, certain steps could be tried, including boosting the host normally, and it also advises users to check latest updates from CrowdStrike portal. So in that context, tell us how important would this advisory be, because clearly there is not much that the government can do, but because essential services are also breaking down, what would be the responsibility of the government in this regard?
So the government has not really, come out with a statement, but they have said that they will come up with a statement according to the sources. But as far as the response is concerned, India seems to be one of the least affected as of now, because a lot of services that have been affected in other countries, they seem to be unaffected here. For example, the National Stock Exchange is functioning properly as we speak. The airlines are affected. Airlines are the most affected here. They've had to adapt to manual check-ins, whereas usually they do online check-ins. So that's one of the biggest sectors that has been affected due to this. So what the government plans, that remains to be seen. Probably some expert would be called in to handle this problem. But the ball remains in Microsoft's court. Unless Microsoft solves this problem, millions across the globe will continue to face this. They have been saying in updates in the last 2-3 hours that they have been able to mitigate the damage, but it's sort of a repetitive statement that they have been given. The sectors across the globe still remain affected. London Stock Exchange, airlines, hundreds of flights have been grounded. People have not been able to look at the updates when they get to the airport. They have not been able to see anything. So the common people have also been affected.
Right. Thank you, Vishal, for speaking to us and also explaining all of that so clearly. Also joining me now is Pratibha from the Bengaluru airport. Pratibha, tell us, what are the passengers on ground saying? And let me also remind our viewers that CERTIN, which basically is a body under the Government of India that looks at security of IT systems across the country, especially government organizations, it has issued an advisory asking people to be careful, and also asking people to look at some workarounds, which also some other tech sites have talked about. The ministry is expected, the minister is expected to come out with a statement soon, is what we hear, because essential services have also in some ways collapsed for some hours now. Pratibha, tell us, what is the sentiment at the Bangalore airport and how distressed are people?
Well, in fact, most passengers have said that the delays have been anywhere between 10 minutes and 30 minutes. And that hasn't really been such a chaotic situation for many of these passengers here. In fact, what you see behind me is the departure terminal. And that is where we did see quite a bit of a long queue there, mainly because manual check-ins are happening, and that is what has been causing the delay. But as far as the arrival terminal is concerned, most of them seem to believe that, yes, it was anywhere between between 10 minutes and 30 minutes, and it wasn't really much of an inconvenience. That is the general sentiment. In fact, we also got a press release from the Bengaluru Airport authorities where they did mention that several of the airlines, including Indigo, Air India Express, as well as SpiceJet, all of them have moved to manual check-ins now, and those are proactive measures that have been taken to ensure that no passenger is inconvenienced. No chaotic scenes as such, but what we also hear as far as Bengaluru is concerned is that some of the techies have been asked to go home, mainly because the systems haven't been functioning. They've been asked to get home. We are yet to get more reactions on that front, but as far as the Bengaluru airport, yes, pretty much peaceful so far. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Pratibha, for joining us with those details. The global outage due to this Microsoft bug has disrupted functioning of several hospitals, banks, and also media organizations, supermarkets. But clearly, processes are being put in place. The government sources have said that they are cognizant of essential services breaking down. The minister could be issuing a statement soon. And Search.in, which basically looks at security of IT systems in the government sector, has also issued an advisory suggesting workarounds for people to resume their services. Time for a short break. But before that, let me also tell you that the union budget will be presented in the parliament next week, and everyone from middle class to corporates, salaried employees to farmers will be watching to see what is in the budget specifically for them. Provisions in the budget could also improve support, accessibility, and overall quality of life for those with disabilities. Listen to disability rights activists talk about their expectations from this year's budget.
My expectation from the union budget is quite some. At this point of time, the expenditure that happens on disability sector is less than 0.3% of the total GDP. I want that total expenditure to grow to at least 0.6 to 0.7% of the GDP, so that more people with disabilities are getting impacted. And also, the economic empowerment is something else that I am looking forward to for people with disabilities, because unless we put economic empowerment as a priority, after the trainings that we provide the person with disabilities, the economy will not flourish.
Hello, Moto.
मोटोरोला लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है। बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे। पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers.
We have breaking news for you. There's an update in the Pooja Khedkar case. This is the controversial officer who was under scrutiny for forging her documents, specifically with regard to her OBC status and also with regard to her disability. She was also put on hold. Her training was put on hold by UPSC. Now UPSC seems to have decided to take action against Pooja Khedkar, the trainee IS officer. could be losing her IAS seat is what we've learned. UPSC could be filing fraud FIR against Khedkar. This is criminal action. UPSC could be starting the process to cancel the candidature of Ms. Khedkar. I'm joined by Maria Shakil, my colleague. Maria, tell us what is the latest on the Pooja Khedkar case?
What the UPSC has said in its order which has been released, which is essentially a press release, it says clearly that it has initiated a series of actions against her, including criminal prosecution by an FIR with the police authorities, and has issued a show cause notice for cancellation of her candidature because she was a civil services examination batch 2022, and there is also debarment from future examinations and selections in accordance with the rules of the civil services examinations 2022. So clearly, as far as Pooja Khedkar's future or any possibility of entering civil services in future is concerned, that will not happen. Her civil services her IAS has been cancelled. She is no longer a civil servant, and FIR proceedings and criminal prosecution will happen. In fact, it goes on to say that it is categorically stated that in fulfilling its constitutional obligations, the UPSC adheres to the constitutional mandate, and the UPSC would want to ensure that its sanctity and integrity of the examination is upheld. It is actually saying that from the investigation it has revealed that she fraudulently availed attempts beyond the permissible limit. That is one point. Then it has gone on to say that her father's and the mother's name, her photograph signature, everything has been verified, and there is faking of identity as well. So it looks like that there's more trouble now for Pooja Khedkar. It doesn't really stop here from her being, that her responsibilities as an IAS officer has been cancelled, but it will be about a criminal prosecution which will begin now.
Maria, several questions being raised there on Ms. Pooja Khedkar's candidature, including her, the utilization of the reservation policy, because her father himself was a Group A officer. Of course, her mother also in trouble because she brandished a gun in front of some farmers. Tell us, when the UPSC says that it bars Pooja from further attempts, how serious is that? Because this is probably one of the most serious actions, stringent actions that we have seen from UPSC, while the body itself is under scrutiny for actually, letting a candidate like this actually clear the examination. Because if you look at even hospital reports that she had gone to, those are also reports that show discrepancies in the filtration process.
Yes, that's right. And it goes on to say, in fact, this order that has come from the UPSC has come only after a detailed report was submitted by the Maharashtra government to the centre, and thereafter this order coming in, which also includes that as per the rules of the civil services examinations, which they have to ensure that the entire process is actually above board, and that there are multiple processes of scrutiny which happens. That is the reason why what has happened also, that any attempt that she can take in the future has been put on hold as well. So complete, what has been seen as an embarrassment won't really stop at embarrassment here for Pooja Khedkar and her family. It is going a step further in ensuring that there is criminal investigation and criminal prosecution for what will be seen as faking the certificate and also impersonation in many ways.
Thank you, Maria Shakil, for joining us and for giving us those very crucial details. Trainee IAS officer, controversial officer Pooja Khedkar will lose her IAS seat. This is strict action against the woman who managed to game the system. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Big-hitting batter Surya Kumar Yadav is named captain of the Indian T20 team for the three-match series against Sri Lanka starting 27th of July, while ODI skipper Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli were included for the 50-over series against the same team next month.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है।
चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो।
पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day.
Welcome back. Even as multiple banks, supermarkets, hospitals reel under this global outage due to this technical bug in Microsoft systems, IT Minister of India Ashwini Vaishnav has posted on X saying that MeitY, which is Ministry of IT and Technology, Information Technology, is in touch with Microsoft and its associates regarding the global outage. The reason for this outage has been identified, he says. He has also said that updates have been released to resolve the issue. CERT has issued a technical advisory. NIC network is not affected. NIC is the official government network, which is crucial for India's security. I have my colleague Vishal with more details on this. Vishal, help us understand the IT Minister's tweet when he says that MeitY is in touch with Microsoft and its associates regarding the global outage and how, and also tell us about this new advisory that CERT has issued.
So this is the CERT agency, which is the Computer Emergency Response Team of the Indian government. When these situations arise, this is the team that responds to these, situations. So as far as this update is concerned, CERT has issued a statement saying that the concerned company called CrowdStrike has reverted and said that there are some steps that the affected people can take to solve this problem. It's filled with technical jargon, but I'll try to explain it for the viewers. It says that you need to boot your Windows into safe mode and then navigate to the C drive and then locate the file matching the C drive and boot it again manually. So these are some of the steps that you can take to counter this problem that's affecting millions across the globe as we speak. This is the CERT agency of the Indian government issuing statement after hours of this problem existing. It started with US, it spread to across the world, and it has affected sectors across the spectrum, from hospitality to health sector to travel. Everything has been affected, and even some games, some soccer games in Australia have been affected. People have not been able to get into stadiums because of this outage, and at the airports there is complete mess even in India because people have not been able to look at their screens and get the latest updates. That's one of the biggest problems, and they've had to adapt to manual check-ins to get onto their flights, which has resulted in a lot of delays. So this is the latest from the government.
Okay. Thank you, Vishal, for joining us with those crucial details. Important tweet by IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav saying that MeitY is in touch with Microsoft and its global associates and that updates have been released now. And he has also said that NIC, the government IT network, has not been impacted by this, but he has also said that CERT has issued an important advisory. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small-scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit incentive to us.
But for a micro or small-scale industry to go up, there should be a hand-holding mechanism which is definitely required.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
The four-day Republican National Convention wrapped up today with a lengthy speech by Donald Trump, his first since an assassin opened fire on his rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Donald Trump formally accepted the Republican presidential nomination and for what he said would be the first and only time recounted the assassination attempt.
Not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. No? Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God. The crowd was confused because they thought I was dead, and there was great, great sorrow. I could see that on their faces as I looked out. They didn't know I was looking out. They thought it was over. But I could see it, and I wanted to do something to let them know I was okay. I raised my right arm, looked at the thousands and thousands of people that were breathlessly waiting, and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy. Especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country. If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years. Under the current administration, we are indeed a nation in decline. We have an inflation crisis that is making life unaffordable, ravaging the incomes of working and low-income families, and crushing, just simply crushing our people like never before. They've never seen anything like it. We also have an illegal immigration crisis, and it's taking place right now as we sit here in this beautiful arena. It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all across our land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. War is now raging in Europe and the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia. And our planet is teetering on the edge of World War III. It's time for a change. This administration can't come close to solving the problems.
Moving on, in a landmark ruling for gay rights in South Korea, country's Supreme Court has ruled that same-sex couples qualify for the National Health Insurance's dependent coverage, a decision that rights activists hoped would pave the way for legalizing same-sex marriages in the country. The decision would allow same-sex couples in the country to register their partners as dependents in National Health Insurance coverage as married couples or couples in a common law marriage can. Numerous other benefits are denied to same-sex couples and other couples living outside traditional norms of family in South Korea. In its ruling on Thursday, the country's highest court ruled that denying a same-sex couple National Health Insurance dependent coverage just because they are of the same sex constitutes a serious discrimination that infringes upon citizens' dignity, values, their rights to pursue happiness and freedom of privacy, and their rights to be equally treated by the law. A water crisis in the Gaza Strip is affecting many people in the coastal region amid the scorching summer heat. Dozens of men and children stood in line in Jabalia camp, north of the enclave, to fill in their containers with water that was being distributed in a tanker truck. The territory's ability to deliver clean water has been virtually decimated by 9 brutal months of war between Israel and Hamas. This has made grim living conditions worse and raised health risks for hundreds of thousands of people deprived of adequate shelter, food, medicine and aid. That's what groups have said. In fact, temperatures keep rising in the Gaza Strip while displaced Palestinians in Jabalia camp continue to struggle with scarcity of water. Displaced families in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis continue to face significant hardship due to the lack of most basic necessities of life. In fact, repeated displacement is compounding trauma for Palestinians in the besieged territory as Israel presses on with its military campaign. Israel's assault in Gaza has driven some 1.9 million of the territory's proud population of 2.3 million Palestinians from their homes. Most of them have been uprooted repeatedly since then, fleeing over and over across the length of the strip to escape a series of ground offensives. Airstrikes in recent days have brought a constant drumbeat of deaths of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, even as Israel has pulled back or scaled down major ground offensives in the north and south. Almost daily strikes have hit the safe zone, covering 60 square kilometers along the Mediterranean coast, where Israel told fleeing Palestinians to seek refuge to escape ground assaults. Overnight, Israeli strikes on Thursday in central Gaza killed at least 11 people, including many women and children. Early Thursday, an Israeli strike hit a house in central Gaza, killing at least 6 people, while another strike hit a car, killing at least 3. The dead were taken to the Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, where an Associated Press journalist counted the bodies. Among the 6 killed in the early strike in Zawaida were 2 children and 2 women. The area struck is close to Deir al-Bala, where many Palestinians displaced from across the war-torn Gaza Strip have fled. People have endured the killing of family and friends in Israeli bombardment. In fact, they have been wounded or disfigured. They have huddled in homes and tents as fighting rages, forcing them to flee again and again with no safe place to recover. Anxiety, fear, depression, sleep deprivation and also anger, aggression are some prevalent symptoms amongst them. Experts have told this to Associated Press. In fact, children are the most vulnerable, especially many parents can barely hold themselves and their families together. There are many resources to help Palestinians process what they're going through. Mental health practitioners have said the turmoil and overwhelming number of traumatized people limit their ability to deliver true support. So they're offering a form of psychological first aid to mitigate the worst symptoms. Israeli authorities released 13 Palestinians who have been detained for several weeks. This is what the Red Crescent Society has said. The paramedic group has said that it took released prisoners from an Israeli checkpoint in the Gaza Strip to the Al-Aqsa Martyrs hospitals in the central city of Deir al-Bala. In fact, all the 13, who include A woman and also a man with vision problems arrived at the hospital on Wednesday evening. Zakaria Abu said he was detained 55 days ago in the Jabalia refugee camp in the north of Gaza, their home, and detained him. This is what he said. He also said that he endured brutal beatings, insults, and eating food that was meant only for animals while he was imprisoned. Scores of people gathered on Wednesday for the funeral of 3 Syrian children who were killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Lebanon. In fact, the children were said to have been killed on agricultural land in the village near the border with Israel. Their bodies have been buried in a small village north of the coastal city of Tyre. In fact, Lebanon's state-run news agency has said that 2 separate Israeli airstrikes in South Lebanon killed 5 Syrian citizens in one day. Hundreds of Israelis protested in Tel Aviv, demanding that the Prime Minister close a deal and immediately explain his recent public statement where he said that hostages are suffering but not dying. An Israeli delegation has arrived in Egypt to continue ceasefire talks as Israel and Hamas continue to consider the latest proposal. International mediators continue to push Israel and Hamas towards a phased deal that would halt the fighting and also free about 120 hostages that are still being held by the militant group in Gaza. Talks between the sides were rattled over the weekend when Israel said it targeted Hamas's military commander in a massive strike. His status remains unclear. A Russian court on Thursday sentenced a U.S. musician who has been living in the country for more than a decade to 13 years in prison for drug trafficking. Michael Travis was arrested more than a year ago on suspicion of selling some drugs whose effects are similar to those of cocaine and MDMA. The court in Moscow also convicted a Russian woman of being his aide and sentenced her to 8 years of imprisonment. News reports at the time of his arrest said he is a former paratrooper and has lived in Moscow since 2010. Wall Street Journal reporter Ivan Gershkovich appeared in a court in Russia on Thursday for the second hearing in his trial on espionage charges that he, his employer and the US government have vehemently denied. The court has said that the journalist, 32 years old, appeared for his trial, which is taking place behind closed doors in a city in Ural Mountains where the journalist was detained while on a reporting trip. At the first hearing last month, the court had adjourned until mid-August the hearing, but the reporter's lawyers petitioned the court to hold the second hearing earlier. Russian news agency has said that independent news sites have reported Tuesday citing court officials. In fact, the journalist's employer and US officials have denounced the trial as illegitimate. Russia has said that its army has launched a series of attacks in multiple directions while Ukrainian side reported intense battles on the front lines according to official briefings of the two countries that have been released recently. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement that its army repelled the Ukrainian attack and launched offensives in various directions, including some cities over the past few days. Meanwhile, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said it recorded 15 combat clashes on Kharkiv front, while battles continued in a number of areas. In another development, the two countries also exchanged 95 prisoners from each side were captured during the ongoing conflict. This is what Russian Defense Ministry has said. Previously, in late May and June, Russia and Ukraine conducted 2 rounds of prisoner swaps, freeing 75 and 90 military personnel from each side, respectively. Ukraine and Russia exchanged 95 prisoners of war each 3 weeks after their latest swap as part of what has been occasionally agreed upon. Ukrainian President Zelensky and the Russian Defense Ministry reported the exchange. The swap was 54th since Russia launched a full-scale invasion of its neighbor in February 2020. A heat wave has sent temperatures in parts of Central and Southern Europe soaring towards 40 degrees Celsius in places. In Kosovo's capital, Pristina, a fire engine with running water was parked on Mother Teresa Boulevard for people to refresh themselves. The temperatures, which have been high for a few days, helped to spark wildfires in North Macedonia and also Albania. Greece's Culture Ministry has ordered the Acropolis closed for several hours in the middle of the day, while authorities have warned of extreme conditions across much of the country as Southern Europe continues to swelter in heat wave that has sent temperatures spiraling. In fact, experts have also said that it is hot air from Africa that was forecast to continue baking Greece for several more days, and at least through Sunday, with the heat wave peaking on Wednesday and Thursday when temperatures touched 43 degrees Celsius. Andrea Bocelli has welcomed a whole host of special guests to the stage during the series of concerts celebrating his 30th anniversary in music. The three-day musical event titled Andrea Bocelli 30 Celebration is being held in Tenor's hometown in Italy, with the opening two nights being attended by the likes of Kim Kardashian and Johnny Depp. Bocelli was joined on stage by Ed Sheeran with a rendition of his song Perfect. Recorded him with Perfect Symphony. Bocelli also has a new record coming out in the fall, which is titled Duets, which will feature a whole host of his collaborations across the years, but with also new names of several artists. Johnny Depp unveils a new artwork collection inspired by ancient deck of tarot cards. The 4 paintings titled Lovers, Emperor, Empress, Strength are being sold separately or as a set, and it's limited edition, counting 195 pieces. Depp is not new to the world of art. His debut collection in 2022, titled Friends and Heroes, was sold out in just a few days, followed by his second collection, which was called Friends and Heroes 2 and 5 the following year. However, Depp reveals that his latest work is quite close to him, representing both his personal life and also his acting career. One piece in particular, the Empress, depicts his first wife, Vanessa, with whom he shares 2 children. We have been very, very close for almost a few decades. This is what he has said about his first wife. I know her and I know who she is inside. She's kind of everything I could never be. That's what he has said. The paintings will go for sale on Thursday, 18th of July at 2 p.m. and this will be done at the Castle Fine Arts official website. Disneyland Paris made history during the Bastille Day celebrations by setting a new Guinness World Record title for orchestrating the largest aerial display of a fictional character filmed by drones. The celebration used 1,571 drones to illuminate the night sky. The combination of lights and drone choreography wowed the guests at the show, and they took them through 5 classic Disney stories, including Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, Aristocrats, and the others.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे।
पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
MSMEs are the backbone for the country's economy. They account for 45% of exports.
Frequent changes in GST tariffs and norms has proven to become a very tough issue for the small micro units.
The budget should be in a growth-oriented budget. So we should bring more manufacturers into the fold of GST.
Particularly for micro and small scale industries, kindly give us a export benefit.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Raut. Coming up ahead, the IT outage that has created chaos worldwide. Also action by the UPSC against IAS trainee Pooja Ketkar. All that and more coming up ahead. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Microsoft outage has created chaos the world over, from flights to supermarkets to banking operations. It's disrupting multiple sectors and threatening to lead to massive issues. India IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav says India is in touch with Microsoft and associates. The UPSC crackdowns against trainee IAS officer Pooja Ketkar for faking her identity will be filing a fraud FIR against her and has begun the process for cancelling her candidature. A DMK leader moved the Madras High Court against the new criminal laws, calling them unconstitutional. The Madras High Court has given the union government 4 weeks' notice to file its response. Politics heats up in poll-bound states like Maharashtra and Haryana. Congress in Maharashtra to hold a meeting to focus on cross voters in the recent MLC elections, while in Haryana they've launched a new campaign. And Bangladeshi students set fire to the country's state broadcaster a day after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina appeared on the network seeking to calm the escalating clashes that have killed at least 39 people. Protesters want the government hiring policy to be reformed. Our top story now, and from flights to supermarkets to banking operations to airlines, the global Microsoft outage is disrupting multiple sectors and is threatening to lead to massive issues as well if it's not resolved quickly. Now in India, almost all the air carriers, Vistara, Indigo, SpiceJet and Akasa Air, are facing technical issues that are affecting booking, check-in and flight updates. In fact, as you can see there, many of the staff at the airports are actually writing out the boarding passes manually, the airlines, so checking in passengers manually. And according to reports, this outage is linked to CrowdStrike's Falcon sensor, the tech glitch that has resulted in Windows machines experiencing blue screen errors and getting stuck in a recovery loop. CrowdStrike is a security system used by Microsoft, so it seems it's an update in that has caused this issue worldwide and led to chaos. Now, IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav posted a short while ago on social media platform X that Meti is in touch with Microsoft and its associates regarding the global outage. The reason for this outage has been identified and updates have been released to resolve the issue. Also, that CRT is issuing a technical advisory and the NIC network is not affected. In fact, the technical advisory that has been issued takes you through steps that can help you resolve this issue, which is something even viewers calling in to NDTV have been talking about. And in fact, on your screen, we're going to carry those steps that you can take by going into this CrowdStrike directory and locating a particular file and deleting it. So that is what has been advised as well by the CERT. But let's just take a look at the kind of chaos and confusion that this outage has caused, especially at airports where passengers are affected, where airlines have had to turn manual. Let's listen in.
Our laptops are not to be switched on at all, but the issues in the airport is, I think, the DigiYatra is not working. A lot of us have gotten so used to the seamless, contactless transition into the airport. I see long queues now. I think it's going to take me at least 45 minutes, 1 hour to get into the airport. I don't know how long the security is going to take. And right now, I'm not even sure of the impact on the timings of the flight as well.
सिस्टम अप नहीं हुए हैं, इसकी वजह से फ़्लाइट भी बहुत डिले गई है, पैसेंजर्स परेशान भी हुए, लास्ट मोमेंट तक पैसेंजर्स आते रहे, क्राउडेड हो गया था बहुत ज़्यादा। तो मैनुअली हम लोगों ने बोर्डिंग पास पे लिखा उनका सीक्वेंस नंबर, PNR नंबर, उनका नेम और उनका गेट नंबर, सब कुछ हमको पैसेंजर को, पर हमने पैसेंजर को पूरा कन्वीनियंस के साथ हमने उनको लिख के दिया जो जो हमारे पास आए। हमारा तब तक हमने फ़्लाइट रिलीज़ नहीं करी जब तक जो पैसेंजर है उसको हमने रिलीज़ नहीं करा। फ़्लाइट हमने डिले करवाया 1 घंटा 1.5 घंटा, पर हमने पैसेंजर्स को भेजा।
कुछ वही बाहर अभी जस्ट टैक्सी से उतरे सब बोल रहे हैं कि माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का कुछ इश्यू हुआ और बोर्डिंग पास बना के दे रहे, राइट टू राइट बना के दे रहे, तो लाइन बहुत अंदर लगी हुई है, भीड़ है, तो बारिश बहुत सारी है और ये सब इश्यू आ रहा है।
मैं भोपाल से आया हूँ और मेरे लगेज में वहाँ पर उन्होंने बताया कि सर्वर डाउन है, तो एक तो हमारा स्कैन नहीं हुआ और उसके बाद उन्होंने हमको लगेज भी मैनुअल करके दिया और मुझे सीट चेंज करानी थी, मैं सीट भी नहीं चेंज कर पाया, लगभग आधा घंटा फ्लाइट लेट हुई।
That gives you a sense of the kind of challenges that airlines are facing and what passengers are facing at the airports. But to talk more about this wider issue and the chaos that has been caused by this Microsoft outage, we're now joined by Jaspreet Bindra, founder Tech Whisperer Limited, and also Sanjay Sahe, founder and director Technon Pro Private Limited and former AD DGP Karnataka. Thank you so much for joining us. And first you, Jaspreet Bindra, if you can just take our viewers through what has caused this massive outage. What we do understand is that it is an update and a glitch that, in CrowdStrike, which is a security system that has led to this massive outage affecting all, the Microsoft systems.
Yes, probably. We don't know yet, but probably we'll learn at the end of it that this is probably the biggest IT outage ever. In some sense, think of it as the Y2K, but just that it happened 24 years later. You're right. 3 things. You're right. First of all, it's not a Microsoft issue in that sense, so though it has affected Microsoft most of all. The issue is with CrowdStrike, which is a global cybersecurity firm whose software is used by hundreds of industries. In fact, 300 out of the Fortune 500 use CrowdStrike. 8 out of the 10 tech companies use CrowdStrike. 6 out of 10 healthcare companies, and most of the airlines in the world. Not only in India, but also in the US, every single airline has stopped. That's number one. Number two is it's pertinent to know that as we know now, it is not a cyber attack. But it seems to be a software issue in the update that you mentioned, the Falcon update that you mentioned. And for some reason, which we don't understand yet, it is affecting only Microsoft Windows and Azure and not the other systems, though there have been some outages in a few other systems also. So everything running on that is getting affected, including the airports that we have seen.
That's right. Sanjay Sahe, I think this has also brought, it's made us all realize just how we've always known we're very vulnerable, and, the minute some issue with tech, it creates such massive challenges and problems. But given this has happened, and yes, as Jaspreet said, thankfully it's not an attack, it's not some kind of, malified intention there, but that organizations, be it, airlines and corporates, etc., that we need to, have a quick backup system, and teach people to quickly how to go manual or what steps to take in place when something like this happens.
See, first and foremost is this blue screen of death, as we call it. It's very rare to have seen in the last decade or so. So it is extremely scary in nature. It is something like a ransomware attack where you don't know what has happened and in which manner it has happened. The second thing which they talk today, which is most important, is the concept of resilience which has to be built into the system. And we, for one, we believe that once we have handed over the system, whether to Microsoft, Azure, or whatever might be the service provider, we forget about it. So in cases of crisis of this nature, what is our standby system? What is the resilience in the system? And our capability to run the system even without it with the skeletal services. So resilience is the name of the game. To interrupt you, I just have to go across to our reporters who will just bring us, as you said, there's need for resilience, and I think we're seeing that airlines are, now turning manual. But let's go across to our reporters. Ishika joins us from the Delhi airport, and Ishika, you've been showing us, those screens going blank, people not being able to print out their boarding passes. What's the situation like right now?
Well, Gargi, there's
yes, a slightly good news for the people here is that the systems are slowly getting restored here. Now we did show you how the systems, in fact, the display screens had gone blank, but the tech team is in fact present here. I'll ask my camera person Xavier Thomas to show you. In fact, this is a tech team from the airport, which in fact is slowly restoring all of these display screens. Now, initially when we came here, only 2 display screens here were working, but slowly you can see now, in fact, there are 5 display screens that are currently working. So systems are slowly getting restored here at Terminal 3 where we are reporting from. Remember that, in fact, the government has also taken cognizance of this and also, in fact, issued a technical advisory for this as well. And after that, we are seeing that, improvement here at Terminal 3 where, in fact, we were reporting from morning itself and people were facing a lot of issues here. So now what we are seeing is that, the queues which were quite long in the morning, they have also shortened here. You can see that there are less number of people who are facing problems right now. And, slowly expecting that even the boarding, the boarding systems will also be up and running. So, certainly a good news here for all the passengers is that slowly these systems are getting restored at Terminal 3 from where we are reporting. Over to you.
All right, so Ishika telling that some good news coming there, that it seems things are now getting on track. Ghazali also joining us from the National, also joining us from the Standard Chartered Bank. But let's go across to Pratibha first from Bengaluru. And what's the situation at the airport there, Pratibha?
Well, initially there were passengers claiming that it has been a delay of just around 10 to 15 minutes and then it went around 30 minutes and people were saying that they wouldn't really mind that. But when it comes to Indigo Airlines, it seems to be very badly hit. I have with me the long queue here, passengers standing here. In fact, one of them waiting to talk about the inconvenience that this airline has caused to you. What have they been explaining to you?
So they are not giving any clear explanations. The problem is my flight has been cancelled. They have not informed over the phone or the SMS or any other means. I came to here only to know that my flight is cancelled. Even the next flight is also cancelled. They are ready to refund this particular leg, but not refunding the returning leg. So if I am not travelling here, how can I come back? They have to give the full refund. They have to also pay my hotel booking.
Is this a connecting flight?
I don't have a connecting flight, but I have a return flight also, right? If you are only refunding me this current leg and you are not refunding me the return flight, that means I am losing the money, time and also the hotel bills. Who is paying for that? I don't know.
In fact, another passenger here who's also willing to talk about the situation here. What kind of inconvenience have you been facing?
I've been here last 4 hours, nobody to attend, and there are huge queues. Everybody's facing the same problem. No clarity about what's happening, what not. Forget refund or money, but somebody has to fly. It's an emergency, they have to fly. I don't know, and city is 1 hour away from here. Again, you have to take a cab. Again, you go do the hotel booking. So it's really in a bad.
Where are you from and what brought you to Bangalore?
I'm Mumbai. I'm here for work-wise. My work got over. That's the reason I'm at the airport. But as I came, there are no tickets, nothing. The server is down, they are saying. And it's really bad situation at the moment. I don't know what will happen. And last 4 hours is happening the same thing.
Right. In fact, there are several like him who have been waiting for 4 hours. In fact, I did speak a couple of minutes ago to some of the families who said that they had a connecting flight, and because of the manual check-in, they weren't really able to get the boarding pass for the next connecting flight, and because of which they had to run from pillar to post. Let me see if I can get another person to talk. Sir, have you been facing any kind of inconvenience with respect to the flight disruptions today?
Exactly. I mean, my father-in-law is sick and we need to go, my wife needs to go to Ranchi quickly, but our debit card got deducted and now we are in this line trying to get the ticket. So it's really sad.
Extremely pathetic situation for several of these passengers. In fact, let me see if I can get, where are you flying to?
We're flying to Coimbatore.
Right. Any flight disruption causing you inconvenience?
But yes, it's cancelled. But we don't know more.
Right. So they don't know much about it, but then all of them seem to be waiting in long queues. So will you like to talk about the disruption, the flight disruptions and the inconvenience caused to you?
We are very in difficulty moment. I have to go to Lucknow and there is no information about whether the flight will go or not go.
It's a very bad situation. You need to tell it. You need to inform us. There's no respond on call, no SMS, no emails. Nothing is being done with Indigo, and they have just cancelled the flight. We went inside and we know that a flight is cancelled. What's this? You need to inform, right?
We have come from 53 kilometers.
In fact, another passenger here, all of them traveling from very far. One can imagine the distance that one has to travel when it comes to getting to Bengaluru airport from the different places in the city here. Jis tarah ka inconvenience aapko ho raha hai, can you please elaborate on that?
They have not mentioned anything. Whenever there is a delayed or rescheduling, they provide a proper SMS or mail communication. This time they have not provided any communication. Again, what now they are saying is that we don't have any assurity whether it will be made any alternate availability till the midnight, 12 o'clock. So they are saying that clearly more than 70% of the flights are cancelled. We don't have any assurity when it will reschedule or reconnect again to the communication.
Absolutely no information on when things would resume as far as the outage is concerned, and because of which there's been a cascading effect when it comes to the check-ins as well as connecting flights. Most flights getting cancelled now. Initially it was only delays. There are people here.
Cancelled, they're showing my flight is gone, but I don't know, I got any information. So what to do, I don't know why.
Where are you flying to?
Kolkata.
Right. And you've come to Bangalore for?
No, I'm going to Kolkata. I am staying.
You're a resident of Bengaluru?
Yeah.
Okay. And because of this, what kind of inconvenience are you facing?
Yeah, now they're showing flight is cancelled. So no one is helping me. So I'm asking, my flight is like...
How long have you been waiting here?
Yeah, at least half an hour I'm waiting.
Right. At least for him, it's just about a half an hour ordeal. But then when it comes to the rest of them, they've been running from pillar to post from 2 hours to 4 hours, endlessly, not knowing where to go, no answers that have been provided. And that's the situation that most of them seem to be facing. Cancelled flight, and what kind of inconvenience are you facing?
They're saying it is due to some server issue. Like, they're not giving any proper answers at all. Yeah. So you can see the queue, so many members are waiting.
How disturbed are you because of the cancellation?
I'm frustrated. I have booking at Isha. I'm really I'm taking her for the first time. And this is really frustrating. This is really frustrating because we have prepared it since long time. Yeah, it's really frustrating, not at all accepted.
A lot of frustrations, a lot of irritations as well as inconveniences that have been triggered because of the flight disruptions here, mainly due to the outage. You can see people who have been wrangling their way through the queues, trying to find some answers, but then absolutely no answers being provided. And especially Indigo, when it comes to this airline, it has been pretty severely affected because long queues right outside Indigo here. But what we hear is that several of the other domestic flights as well as airlines are also being disrupted, and that is the reality that is being provided here as of now. Back to you.
All right, Pratibha. So really, cross-section of passengers so frustrated. Airlines are not informing them. I mean, we're reporting about this massive global outage that has taken place, but many of them don't even know. They don't know what is the reason that, the airline is not providing them with those answers or telling them when the flight will take off. A loss of money as well for some who are, flying out somewhere and have the return flight saying, I'll not get funded for that. But banks have also been affected. We do know the London Stock Exchange has been affected, not the Bombay Stock Exchange. However, let's go across to Ghazali for more. He joins us from outside a bank. And Ghazali, what can you report? What's happening there?
See, good news, because the bank's operations are not impacted with this outage. And every moment you'll see one customer going in, there are many others who are sitting inside. The systems are running perfectly fine. They say, the bank officials here in HDFC Bank, they claim that their systems are working since morning, though they know the impact of outage on airlines, on the airport monitoring system, that all have gone out of service right now and have gone back to the manual system. But banks are working perfectly fine. There is no impact of this outage on the banking system or their own server, which they maintain here back in India. So there is no such impact of this Microsoft outage on the the banking operations in the national capital. And we have also spoken to other customers, other branches in the nearby area, as well as the ATM kiosks. All are functioning properly. There is no such impact of outage, though everybody knows that there has been a reported outage of the Microsoft system or the Windows system, but in the banking sector as of now there is no such report that that outage has any impact on the operations of the banking system.
All right, so that is good to know. No impact on, the banking systems due to this global outage. Let's go across to Ishika now for the latest from the Delhi airport. And Ishika, you said things were getting on track. We do know that the airline's working manually. So what is happening there now?
Well, Gargi, in fact, we have been showing you the visuals, the ground reality since morning. We have been present at the T3 airport, and we did show you how, in fact, because of the server being down, the display screens also had gone blank. But, slowly what we are seeing is that the display screens are, in fact, getting restored here. And, you can see that the tech team is currently working. We are showing you the visuals from the T3 airport, how, in fact, the display screens are, in fact, getting started up. I also have a passenger here with me, in fact, who still continues to face the inconvenience, because what we are getting to know is that his flight was cancelled.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
Ma'am, I am a student. I came all to exam of BLLB. I wanted to go to university. My exam is on 22nd. I am really worried and tense. I just got a message that your airline has been impacted and the flight is cancelled.
If you can show us the message on the screen, we are trying to show it on the screen. So when did you get this message?
Ma'am, I just got it like half an hour ago.
Half an hour ago? So what reason did the airline actually give?
Ma'am, they show that has been cancelled by the airline directly. I'm really worried about
So
it.
certainly, even though the systems are slowly getting restored, the people have already, in fact, been facing a lot of inconvenience, and it is yet to see as to, till when will this issue be completely resolved. Over to you.
That's right, Ishika. Thanks so much for joining us, with those voices. We're also now joined by Rajiv Chandrasekhar, former Minister of State for Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. And it's a massive global outage. We're seeing the kind of chaos that has been caused the world over. We do have information, from the center saying that Methi is in touch with Microsoft and its associates, but we still have no clarity when things are going to get back on track.
Yeah, no, so I can't add to any clarity.
Yes, but your comments here.
Yeah, no, so I'm watching the same television and the online, I'm consuming the news as much as all of us are. Look, I think it is enough to say, and it's pretty appropriate to say, that this is something that I have never seen in my life before. And I've been around the block for about 35 years. I've seen ups and downs in tech, and I've never seen anything this deep and this wide and this, touching almost every nation and every small business and big business in this kind of way. I've never seen it before. And the fact that it is attributable finally to a small cybersecurity solution that sits on the endpoint of the cloud just tells you that what a complex digital world we live in, that it is not just enough to worry about the computer that you operate on or the server that it is hosting the application, but that every one of these pieces create complexity and create vulnerability at the same time. So look, it is certainly a black swan event of a kind that I have never seen or experienced before. But the good news is it is Microsoft, and this is a large credible company, one of the big credible names in big tech, and they are slowly recovering this. It is now clear that it is this CrowdStrike cybersecurity agent that was at fault, and that the patches will be created, and that the incompatibility with the Windows system that was being caused by the CrowdStrike update will be fixed. But it is certainly something that I have never seen before, and it has put a lot of small businesses and a lot of consumers at great disruption, inconvenience, and loss of money.
No, absolutely. It's possibly the largest we've seen, and it also shows how vulnerable we are, which is what you just pointed out. Yes, we're calling it a Microsoft outage, but as you said, yes, it's to do with CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity firm whose, in fact, stocks have fallen. But what is the lessons from this now? And we still don't know the full extent of the impact this has had.
No, there are certainly lessons that as we continue the digitization of the world is digitizing at an unprecedented pace. We must also move the spotlight as much from innovation and access to these applications to resilience, to fail-safe, to redundant design built in, so that when the expectation is that a business depends on for 24/7 the availability of a platform, that platform is designed to be available 24/7. That platform, not just as a platform and the cloud and its cybersecurity and the entire sum of parts must be trusted, must be safe. So I think that conversation, that discourse will start. The other discourse, I think, that is a legitimate discourse is, why are we so dependent on only the Microsoft and the Googles and the Metas and these few handful of big tech companies? And why is there not enough adoption of Zoho, which is a designed and built in India company that does a very comparable set of enterprise software? So I think the conversation about this unrealistically unhealthy dependence on these platforms and having a lot more competition on these type of platforms is a legitimate conversation that needs to be had, because this concentration of risk, this concentration of all of this economic activity and digital activity just on a few platforms certainly can't be by any stretch of imagination healthy as we look to the future. So I think that is another conversation. One is the safety and trust of these platforms, and the second is this over-dependence on this handful of platforms that we need to, in a sense, get de-addicted out of and diversify the basket.
Right, important points there going forward, but also were you relieved, because when the news first started coming in, we heard Sky News has gone off in our own offices, you had that blue screen happening, but were you relieved to know it was not, any kind of terror, any sort of, hacker, a global hacker attempt that took place here? Seems at the moment to be an issue linked to what we're told CrowdStrike's Falcon sensor.
Yeah, no, look, I can tell you that I wake up and use my laptop early in the morning every day, and I open it up with a prayer and a prayer on my lip. Fortunately, my system was intact and was not impacted. Look, I think this is, things are not going to be the same. The status quo as we knew it before the CrowdStrike event, we'll call it the pre-CrowdStrike world and the post-CrowdStrike world. I think things will change, things have to change, and it may change in many different types of ways, including, like I said, increasing competition to these platforms. We will wait and see, but it is certainly something that has put a lot of small business, and I've heard from a lot of small businesses who are absolutely traumatized, who depend on their livelihoods and business on being available to their customers 24/7. Suddenly to have 2 hours disappear is not a small thing for them. It's a very, very big traumatic event in their lives and in their businesses. So I think this is something that Microsoft will have to step up and deal with. And of course, these cybersecurity companies that we all so depend on to keep ourselves safe will have to be held more accountable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, there for speaking to us here on NDTV. It's a massive global crisis, as he described it, something that we're going to be talking about and for days to come, and looking for solutions given the widespread impact this has had, as we've been reporting to you, from flights to supermarkets to banking operations. This Microsoft outage, as we're describing it, though that might be a misnomer given that it's to do more with cyber, with CrowdStrike, which is a safety platform and that Microsoft uses. So it seems the issue is more linked to that. Now we have had a reaction from India's IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, who did say that MeitY is in touch with Microsoft and its associates regarding the global outage. The reason for this outage has been identified and updates have been released to resolve the issue, and the CRT is issuing a technical advisory. NIC network is not affected. So that is what the IT Minister has said, and certain steps have been released by the CRT to go into your systems and find to navigate to the CrowdStrike directory and locate a certain file there. In fact, we'll have those steps up on the screens just to show you, and to delete it and then boot normally. However, this, as we've been showing you through the morning, has impacted airlines the most, because that's the most obvious example that we've seen. But as Rajiv Chandrasekhar described, that many small businesses are also impacted. Many companies, corporates have been impacted by this, and many of them expressing worries over data having been affected, which at this point we don't know. We also have with us Sanjay Sahay, founder and director Technon Pro Private Limited, still with us, and Jaspreet Bindra. Sanjay, so you were speaking earlier and you heard what the former MOS IT had to say regarding this, and he's going on and he's describing it as such a massive event that it's like a a pre-CrowdStrike world and then a post-world after what we've seen happen today.
So primarily what we are talking about is what we talk in cyber security was the Stuxnet attack in Iran. So that we call as the 9/11 moment in cyber security. I think somewhere similar to that the minister is talking about, that the CrowdStrike leading to this configuration issues, and finally Azure getting impacted and Microsoft 365 getting impacted. So this is a pre and a post. So we are at a watershed moment. What I could see with people talking in Delhi and on the Bangalore airport, that whenever there is a crisis, there is a complete information breakdown in this country. And that is the biggest challenge which we are facing with. And the whole myth which has generally been created by the IT behemoths of the world, that they will be able to provide 100% service, 365 days for all times to come. That will certainly remain a myth, and until a situation of this nature would have erupted, we would have never believed. So we come back to again to the resilience story, why we don't have systems which can take over to provide at least the skeletal services, and that we don't land into the doldrums. The issue with redundant systems are that it is costly in nature and nobody wants to create those systems. So we are dependent on the IT behemoths. Either our systems run or they don't run. We are on their mercy. And suffice to say that the number of moving parts in a cloud-enabled system which works globally are numerous. And where it will fail, we don't know. It is their capability that it keeps on running. Otherwise, we find systems in the Indian IT where servers break down or server services are not provided on a regular basis. So there has to be a workaround. And whenever patch management happens or the CrowdStrike sort of a thing happens, I think all the big players, they should also be taken into confidence, and the information should go to the whole Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft is not just a company. The whole thing combined is an ecosystem of nearly 400,000 vendors and customers and a variety of other people who basically support systems on which this whole thing runs. So Azure cannot be limited to only the second largest cloud. Now the whole Microsoft systems operate out of Azure. And the whole
so as you're saying, Microsoft, there is
Azure, the risk, see, we have to calculate the risk as to what the risk is and what should be our response, so as to maintain the resilience.
And talking about responses,
we don't face the detrimental impact.
Right, talking about responses, Jaspreet Bindra, if you can comment on this, because we heard that the Australian government had called an emergency meeting given this massive crisis and how it is impacting the public, and I can tell you that we were trying to also get a response, finding out what the government is going to do, and it's just about an hour ago that finally we had the IT minister finally putting out a statement on social social media and also an advisory being issued by the ministry. So it took quite a while for all that to come out, emerge from the government, and that is something also that needs to happen faster.
Yeah, but I would actually ask us to step back and do a reality check here. It is a massive outage. It has caused huge inconvenience. It has created lots of delays, cost issues. It has, however, however, been to an extent where it has resulted in some kind of accidents or emergency or, weapons being used, etc. Why I'm saying this is that the reliance that the world has on IT systems and digital systems is massive. And the reliance is there because we, as consumers, as customers, as users of all these airlines and other services, want that convenience. And so, we rely on these systems. We had a person saying, I can't get through Digi Yatra because, suddenly Digi Yatra. And why did Digi Yatra get created, built on these IT systems? Because we want that convenience. Now, nothing ever runs for 100% of the time. Everything is on 99.999%. And frankly, this has happened for the first time in the last how many years? And it has been contained in a few hours. We figured out what the problem is. We have a patch for that. Systems have started going up again, as you have said. And so I think we need to step back and take a reality check as to what should we panic about and what should we not panic about. This reality check, however, should make us do two things. As the former minister was saying, the pre and the post era. In the post era, we should have a plan B where a skeletal system operates, even if the main system goes off. And that is not very difficult to do. It is expensive to do, but I think it should be necessary now, and this should make that happen. And three is that if these systems go down, what is the human response? How as we human beings who frankly worked without these systems for many, many centuries can take over. And, like you've seen Indigo or other airlines, issuing manual passes, etc. That should actually be a process that if the systems go down, what is the next? What is plan B? What is plan C? We have that in many other industries. We should have that here also and build in those redundancies is what I would think is what our correct response should be, rather than needless panic in many ways.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Sanjay Sahai and Jaspreet Brindra, for joining us on the program. We'll continue to track this story as the Microsoft global outage is causing chaos the world over, as we've been bringing you from supermarkets to hospitals to airlines, all being impacted. We'll slip into a short break, more on the other side.